I've been playing D&D for 5 or 6 years now, and during that time I've played a grand total of 15 different characters, even if just for one session. In honour of those characters who have few or no pieces of fan art, I've decided to put them all together in one big piece, in the layout of a grand stained glass window. This is the idea, and I have no idea how it's going to come together just yet, but the best way to start is just to start. So buckle in, have a drink, and let's spin the wheel for today's flavour of background noise. Nerev Vasillia. A man with the timeless look of one whose one-shot session didn't have a defined year, Nerev is a satyr bard straight from the Feywild. He, of course, is a College of Glamour bard and has the Phalos background, which has given him these beautiful pearlescent eyes and his penchant for collecting all things shiny and colourful. His star sign is the crown, because he's the king of himbos. Despite all of this fey magic at his fingertips, during his session he preferred to use his lute not to enchant his enemies with his music, but just beat them round the back of the head. He and his twin sister Nellie attended a magic school where this one-shot took place, and no one really knows why. Perhaps they came to find more information about Nellie's curse of lycanthropy. Perhaps they simply had nothing better to do upon stumbling out of their home plane. They didn't seem to care much for schooling. Nellie was a little bit of a psycho, and Nerev himself took on the role of class clown, much to their professor's chagrin. However, when the school was attacked by unknown assailants attempting to steal something precious hidden in a chamber beneath a large tree in the courtyard, the twins stepped up, along with some of their classmates. A few spells later, Nerev throwing his lute up into the tree to knock something impish from its branches, and having to climb up to retrieve it again, the group managed to quash the threat, and the school was saved. Much of that session is lost to my memory. It was a long time ago, and the DM's first session ever. Amazing for a first session, by the way. I am not one to abandon my characters when their sessions are over, however, and thus Nerev's story continues. After either flunking out of school or charming his professors into letting him graduate, he and Nellie hit the road once more, finding themselves in wine country, the sunny duchy of Staganis. This is where the twins parted ways. Nellie had decided to become a werewolf pirate, and Nerev has a deep fear of the open ocean. Instead, he found work at the local, reputable establishment. It was a brothel. At first, he simply performed his music, but quickly found he'd make much more money by becoming a, full-time employee. Having hailed from the Feywild and having a limited understanding of the way things work in this plane, in no small part due to his mild stupidity, he didn't really realise or care that the owner was exploiting him. In his eyes, he got a roof over his head and money for shiny trinkets in exchange for just being himself and having his own kind of fun. It was when he tried to move on to somewhere else that things got difficult. The owner pulled all of these debts out of nowhere, all of these taxes and payments for lodging that Nerev didn't really understand, as well as all the money from borrowing and gambling that he legitimately owed the owner. What do you mean I have to pay you back? You gave that money to me. Fair logic. What can you do? This, as you can imagine, sort of soured the whole experience for him. He started to realise that his co-workers weren't having nearly as much of a good time as he was, and started stepping up to protect them as much as he could. Which, of course, made things worse. The owner liked how much money Nerev made for him, but began to strongly dislike everything else he did. Like a frog in a pot of water slowly brought up to boil, Nerev didn't really notice as his life became less and less fun. The next time he saw his sister, she was horrified to see how much less vibrant he was. Like all of his fey joy and magic had been drained out of him. When she discovered the culprit, she hatched a plan to free her beloved brother from the crushing debt he'd found himself in. She had piles of treasure to give him from her piracy, of course, but she had something more permanent in mind. Together, the two of them killed the owner and buried him beneath the stage of his own establishment. With some light forgery, a couple of well-placed bribes, and a heap of ill-gotten gains, Nerev was now the proud owner of his own burlesque parlour, which he renamed the In and Out, in as in tavern. Nerev is a good boss to work for, certainly the best anyone can ever find in such a line of work. As he would say, no creature should be made to suffer, we're all just here for a good time. He looks after his people, and pays them more than fairly, and encourages them to do whatever creative endeavour they've set their minds to. The place has flourished, it's fancy and only lightly haunted. They put on elaborate performances, there's a whole costuming department. The spa has never been cleaner or more pleasant smelling. The clientele nowadays tend to be wealthier, rich business moguls, nobility, or crime lords in equal measure. Over the years as proprietor, Nerev has matured a lot, and become far more street smart, but no less whimsical. His design has only changed a little since the last time I made art of him. His open purple satin shirt with the big puffy white sleeves showing off his tanned chest, his warm brown curly hair decorated with beads of stained glass and gems that glow from within, his floppy satyr ears, and as many golden piercings and rings as you can wear at once. In the Feywild, time doesn't ever seem to move, and despite the long years spent in the material, I wanted him to look as though he too were frozen in time. If we were to see him in our current campaign, he'd likely look in his late 30s or early 40s, but until I see him again, this is how he looks. So that's it, really. Here he is, in all his glory. 1 down, 14 to go. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, or if you just want to tell us about your own characters, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'll be sure to read them all. Or if you prefer, you can join us on stream here and talk about this stuff in real time. Every Friday from 8 PM to 10 PM GMT, UK time. Thank you for joining me. Drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to make a bargain with a hag today, and I'll see you next time.